A great day to one and all. Welcome to the September 2023 Licensure Examination for Teachers or LET Review for Mathematics Majors. I am Mr. Kim J.C. Ensho, and I will be your reviewer or discussant for the mid-review, particularly on items 161 to 200 for tonight. So for this evening, we will be discussing the answers for the 40 items. And just like the usual ones that we set, for you to pass, you must get at least half or 20 out of the 40 items. So I hope you are ready with your answer sheets, with a PDF copy of the questions. And please be reminded that here is our instructions. That is, for the directions, shade the box that corresponds to your answer. If the correct answer is not found among the choices, you should shade letter E. All right? With that said, let's begin the discussion with item number 161. Based on the goal-oriented instructional model, if the results of the assessment is not satisfactory, then the teacher should A. Reteach, B. Proceed to the next objective, C. Ask the learners to review for the removal exam, or D. None of the above. What's your answer po for item 161? Okay, letter C daw. Sabi ni Sir Richard, letter C. Okay. So far we have two people or three, but one of you answered letter A. And there are two now. Let's see. So far, some of you answered A or C. I'm not sure if others answered B or D, but let's check. Take note po. This is our GOIM or your goal-oriented instructional model. So it starts in the specification of your objectives to pre-assessment, then instruction. And after you do your teaching, it's time to evaluate. If the results of your formative assessment or your assessment is satisfactory, you could proceed to the next objectives. However, if the result of your formative test is not satisfactory, then you have to reteach the topic. So actually, the correct answer here is letter A. However, at this point, usually we use a different terminology, but by essence, it's like we are teaching again the same topic, but probably we could modify the way we teach, or probably we could look into how we can make our teaching more understandable on the part of the learner. So to everyone who answered letter A, okay, you got it right. But if not, it's still okay. Thank you. 162. If the green curve is the graph of f of x, then the blue curve is the graph of what? Is it letter A, f of x minus 1 added by 3, f of x plus 1 added by 3, f of x minus 3 added by 1, or f of x plus 3 plus 1? Let's see. What's your answer for number 162? So this one involves the transformation, or let's say the shifting, of the graph. So if you could see for the green curve, actually these two are parabolas. Most likely they are parabolas because when I encoded them, these are actually linear, quadratic functions. But if you could see, they are identical in terms of size. It's just that one is actually shifted, no? So kung inyo pong mapapansin, yung vertex nito, di ba, nasa 0.00. Ito, nasa 0.13, yung kanyang vertex. So, yung nangyari dito is, when we have this quadratic equation, all points of this quadratic equation were shifted 1 unit to the right and 3 units up. For example, take a look po. If the point 0, 0, shift 1 right, 3 up, it goes here, your new vertex. 1, 1 is also part of the curve. Shift it 1 to the right and 3 units up. So you see we have there your new point, no? So, is it A, B, C, or D? Okay, marami pong sumagot ng so far we have B, no? People who answered letter B. Ang tanong, tama nga ba ang letter B? And let's see. Take note po natin ha. If you have the f of x minus h plus k, it has an identical graph with f of x. However, it is shifted h or horizontal units and k vertical units. Take note po. If it is x minus h here, di ba? You equate this to 0, x minus h equals 0, so x equals h. But if you have here x plus h equals 0 will give you x equals negative h. In other words, yung shortcut na lang po, kapag ito po ay minus sa loob, so this is shifted h units going to the right. Okay? So this one is shifted h units to the right. Pero kapag x plus h naman po ditong nasa loob, di ba? X plus h equals 0. So x equals negative h. So kapag plus po yung nasa loob, x plus h, therefore it is shifted h units to the left. That's why we could see here no, na x minus h, so dapat shifted siya h units to the right. And if it is the k here, if it's positive k, then it's shifted upward. And if it's minus k, it's shifted downward. If you could see from here, no, the graph was translated 1 unit to the right and 3 units up. So you could see that h here is actually 1 and k is 3. Kasi nga mula dito, na-shift siya 1 to the left, 1 to the right, and 3 up. So h is 1 and k is 3. And if we substitute it back to the equation, what you will get is f of x minus 1 plus 3. So, sige lang po. The correct answer here is actually letter A. Be very careful po. Sige lang po, no problem. I'm not sure if someone got it, but what's more important, I would always mention, is that natututo po tayo. Kasi nga, sa buhay natin, minsan nagkakamali tayo eh. Pero yung mahalaga, may natutunan ba tayo mula sa ating pagkakamali? Nagkamali man tayo ng inibig dati, nako, at least may natutunan tayo, di ba? And we have to move on forward. Walay. Okay. All right. Let's proceed po to 163. Ay, okay. Sige po, Sir Francisco, noted po. 163. Students need to see the connection or importance of what they are learning to their life. It exemplifies that assessment should be what? Is it reliable, multidimensional, value-laden, or practical? What's your answer for 163? Reliable daw, sabi ni Sir. May sumagot ng D, practical. May sumagot ng A, may sumagot ng C, value-laden. Okay, iba-iba po ata yung ating sagot. So far, with all the answers, only letter B was not chosen by any one of you. Okay. Reliable nga ba? If you answered reliable, I'm sorry, it is not. Because when we speak about reliability, it's more about consistency. No? So it yields consistent results. Your assessment yields consistent results. It is also not multidimensional because if we speak about multidimensionality, then your lesson or your what you are teaching them could actually relate to the cognitive, affective, psychomotor, or to different aspects of their life. The third one, the correct answer is actually value-laden. Yung may connection po sa buhay nila. Nakikita nila na merong halaga, importance, halaga, value. And when we speak about practical, it's something that they could use, no? So the correct answer is actually letter C. Take note po, is validity the same as reliability? And the answer is no. Why? Let me explain to you the difference between validity and reliability. When we say validity, a certain instrument or assessment is valid if it measures what it intends to measure. Okay? And meron po tayong iba't ibang uri ng validity which will be discussed in a few moments. When we speak about reliability po, it's all about consistency. So, magkaiba po sila, Teacher MJ. Salamat po. So, sa lahat po ng sumagot ng C, you got it right. So, sige lang. Push lang po tayo mga kaguro. 164. Mr. Perez is conducting oral recitation during classes. Oral recitation is an example of what kind of assessment? Did you go for diagnostic, formative, placement, or summative? B daw, formative. Ang sabi ni Sir Crispin, ni Sir Jerome, at ni Ma'am Nurse, ni Sir Jason, ni Sir Francisco, ni Ma'am Debbie, ni Sir Edward. And if you answered that, let's see kung tama. You are actually correct po. Why? Because oral recitation po is usually formative. Formative assessments are usually done, could be done during instruction. And usually po, nag-oral recitation po si teacher during the times na nagtuturo po siya. So it's formative. Diagnostic could be before or during instruction. Placement is before instruction. Summative is after instruction na po yan. So B ang tamang sagot, Galawang Prophet. Okay, good job. Thank you po, Sir Francisco and company. 165. To understand the surface area of a certain space figure, Sir Generoso showed the following net. What particular shape do you think will what particular space figure will it form? Will it form a cone, a pyramid, a rectangular prism, or triangular prism? What's your answer? Letter C. Many of you are convinced na siya ay rectangular prism. Tama nga kaya. And let's see po. Tadan! Let's see. Let's have display, no? Kung yan po makikita nyo. And if you will fold it in a certain pattern like that, you could in fact see that it forms a rectangular box or a rectangular prism. Letter C. So usually, if students cannot derive the formula for the surface area, they could actually see the connection, or they could get the surface area by getting the areas of the surfaces. Or in this case, they could get, if he or she could get the area of the 6 rectangles, then he could get the area, or he could get the surface area of your rectangular prism. So letter C. Grabe. Thank you. Tumpak po. Congratulations. How about the next one? The question, why does investing money in common stock protect against loss of assets during inflation? Asked for higher order thinking skills. What does this question demand? Is it A, to make sure that students evaluate the worth of something? B, to make students create something out of parts? C, to interpret cause and effect relationships? Or D, to justify methods and procedures? Okay, so far we have 4 people who commented letter C. Okay, letter C, may sumagutin ng D. Okay. Letter C daw. Okay, now, sige. Si A, tama nga ba si A? To make sure that students evaluate the worth of something? No. This question is not an evaluation question, because when we say evaluation, you are stating the worth of something, no? So this one, you are not judging the quality or worth of something. So it's not letter A. Letter B, to make students create something out of parts. This is synthesis. But it's not eh. When we say about synthesis, for example, you create an essay, you create a song, you compose something. And the correct answer is actually letter C, to interpret cause and effect relationships. Bakit ganyan? Because of ganito, ganito. Letter C po yung tamang sagot dito. And also, you are not going to justify methods and procedures because wala naman pong nakalagay dyan. Wow, malay po ata nakakuha ng letter C, pero may sumagutin ng A at saka B, it's okay po. Medyo tricky lang po siya ng konti, pero kakayanin po mga chairs. Okay, dumako po tayo sa susunod. 167. Which of the following situations indicate that assessment is based on appropriate methods? A, the teacher made sure that what came out of the test is what she thought. B, the test's length is appropriate for the kind of learner he has. C, instead of stating facts, teacher Anne made students do drills to check if they know how to solve. Or D, Sir Jim made sure that the test is not disadvantageous to some of the students. Which among these talks about appropriateness? Yung akma, yung assessment sa objective. And I'm so happy to see that many of you answered letter C because that is the correct answer. Take note, we could say that a certain assessment is appropriate if it is really intended to measure what it should measure, no? Halimbawa, if you wanted to know that if a student knows how to dance, why make an essay? Why not let them do practice? Why not let them dance, di ba? So it's more of appropriateness. So paper and pencil tests could be appropriate for some objectives, like to measure knowledge or let's say cognitive domain. But there are in some instances that you need to do some affective or if you wish to measure some psychomotor domains. So make sure that your assessment really is intended or designed to measure it. So letter C po. Sana all po, no? Pero may prof ed component na po ngayon kasi yung ating LET po sa math major. The statements of your three students are the following. Student A. Okay, let's evaluate po. All linear pairs are supplementary angles. Is student A telling the truth? Tama ba please comment true or false about student A. Is student A true? Tama ba si A? All linear pairs are supplementary angles? Okay. A is actually correct. Tama po ang A. Tandaan po natin, kapag linear pair po siya, these are adjacent angles that are supplementary. So student A is actually telling the truth. How about letter B? Is student B telling the truth? All supplementary angles are linear pairs. Sige lang po. Student B is no, false. Tandaan po natin, for them to be supplementary, they just have to add up to 180. But they don't need to share a common ray. That's why pwede pong supplementary sila, pero hindi po sila nag-form ng linear pair. So B is wrong. So dahil B is wrong, students A and B are both correct is also wrong. That is, letter A is the correct answer. Good job to those who answered A. But if not, push lang. Kaya po, laban lang. 169. In one of your items, also that's answered, the negative of 2 cubed is the same as the cube of -2. Conceptually speaking, what could this mean in the context of assessment? A, majority of the learners understand the lesson. B, majority of the learners did not understand the lesson. C, majority cheated in the exam. Or D, none of the above. Ano po yung sagot ninyo sa 169? Letter A, majority of the learners understand the lesson. May sumagot ng B. Okay. So medyo hati po ata tayo. 4 sa A, 4 sa B, o 5 na, 5A, 5B. Now, did they really understand or did not understand? And the correct answer is, dun, 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 dun. If you have the negative of 2 cube, actually may sa math po kasi, there are some things, may mga bagay-bagay na hindi mo nakikita pero nandyan pala. Halimbawa, if there's a negative here before the parenthesis, it means that there's an coefficient there which is -1. And 2 cube means 2 times 2 times 2, which is -8. Okay. So -8 po yung sagot nito. Pero the negative of 2 cube means -1 times 2 times 2 times 2. However, if you have the cube of -2, mga kaguro, it means your base is -2 and you take it as a factor 3 times. So which means -2 times -2 times -2. Both of them gives an answer which is -8, di po ba? Pero they have the same answers, but they are different in terms of meaning. So in this case po mga kaguro, nagkataon po na parehas po yung sagot nila. But however, the concept is actually wrong. Hence, majority of the learners did not understand the lesson. Letter B. Be careful po ha, may mga bagay-bagay na hindi nakikita pero nandyan. It so happen lang po na parehas po sila ng sagot, but if we speak about them conceptually, iba po yung meaning nila. And I do agree with what you said, Mr. Emmanuel Ariola, no? Kapag even po yung exponent, halimbawa yung 3 naging 4, the first one po will become -16 and the second one magiging +16 po. That's why be careful po tayo especially with negative exponents. Especially, I mean, if the exponent is odd and the base is negative, they will give you the same answers. But kapag ganito po yung scenario, pero even yung exponents, iba po yung kanilang sagot. That's why letter B po yung tamang sagot. Mahalaga po yung parentheses. Okay, yes, I agree po. Pero ang X mo mahalaga ba yun? Bahala kayo sa buhay nyo. Char lang. Biro lang po. 170. Si Sir Stephen said that his test will be on chapters 1 and 2. What came out in the test are lessons from chapters 1 to 3. What is true of his assessment then? A, invalid, B, unreliable, C, uninterpretable, or D, inconsistent. Okay? May sumagot ng D, inconsistent. How about the others po? D, okay. D, boy, unreliable. Huwag po kayong mahiya, ha? Tandaan po natin, I would always emphasize, this is an avenue for all of us to learn. And we don't condemn you kung mali po kayo. May sumagot ng A, invalid. May sumagot ng unreliable. And the correct answer is invalid. Let me explain po. When we say invalid, remember validity, a certain test possesses validity if it measures what it intends to measure. Since you intend to measure chapters 1 to 2, but you did not measure that because ang lesson mo sumobra. So that's why hindi na-inform ang students, invalid po yung assessment. Meaning, tandaan po ninyo ha, kapag this is an example of a test that is invalid, particularly in terms of content. Meron po tayong tinatawag na content validity. That is, if the content of your assessment really measures the desired content na sinabi mo sa mga students, then the test has content validity. Pero may mga teachers kasi minsan na parang natutuwa sila na parang hindi prepared yung bata. Yung sabi nila, gusto kong malaman talaga kung nagsa-study kayo. So kahit sabihin mo, kahit sabi niya chapters 1 to 2, lumabas na exam niya chapters 1 to 3, invalid po yung exam. When we say unreliable again, it speaks about consistency ng results. No? Consistent siya kapag yung scores parang medyo malapit or parang gano'n, no? Kung inconsistent siya kapag masyadong malayo or say may times na mataas, may times na mababa, inconsistent yon or unreliable yon. Letter A po, yung tamang sagot. Yes, nagpa-quiz ka pero hindi mo tinuro, invalid po yun. Invalid po yun. Thank you po. Don't worry. Okay. Na po ha? Okay. 171. How can we make mathematics assessment more authentic? Which of A, B, C, or D ang sinagot ninyo? Authentic. Grabe kayo, Ma'am Luella. Grabe ka. Okay. So which is which? Many of you answered letter A. By making assessments close to real-life experiences. If you answered that, I'm happy to say that you got it right. When we speak about authenticity ng ating assessment, we have to make sure a certain assessment is authentic if it is close to real life. If what we are measuring really applies to real life or it's something na na-experience ng ating mga kabataan. So tama nga naman po yung ating letter A. Good job. Real life, authentic. 172. Which of the following is a good practice in writing multiple choice tests in accordance to what Brigham Young University of 2001 is suggesting? A. Make the choices of similar length. B. Make the correct answer the longest among the rest. C. Make the correct answer the shortest among the rest. Or D. Make the distractors of different length from the correct answer. When we say distractors, these are the incorrect options of a multiple choice item. Letter A nga ba? For the hula daw. Okay, if you answered letter A, you are actually correct. Tandaan po natin, it's as much as possible if our answers are a bit, let's say, sentences or phrases, as much as possible, we should make them the choices of similar length. Or kung medyo mahaba yung iba kaysa sa isa, if possible, hindi naman masyadong pahabaan talaga. Kasi may mga professors minsan, imagine yung tatlong choices maiikli, tapos yung isang choice pinakamahaba, parang it's like giving the students the hint na, ay okay, baka ito yung tamang sagot kasi mahaba siya. But again, if we are doing some things like that, we are not actually encouraging our children to think. That's why as much as possible, if possible, we can make them concise, or it's similar in length as much as possible. So tama nga yung letter A. Yes, tama po. I agree with you, Sir Francisco, May mga tao kasi, ay, mahaba kasi. So yan yung tamang sagot. And whether we like it or not, sometimes nangyayari, nga, tama nga minsan. Or in my case, medyo kadalasan na tama. Okay. But those are valid points po. Okay. 173. The stem of a multiple choice test is as follows. Two perpendicular lines intersect to form a blank angle. What is wrong with this item? Is it A, the item is not homogeneous? B, the item is too easy for learners? C, the test item is ambiguous and unclear? Or D, grammar gives hints to the correct answer? Ano po yung sagot ninyo for 173? B daw, the item is too easy for learners. May nagsabi ni Sir Crispy naman, D, grammar gives hints to the correct answers. Letter C daw, the test item is ambiguous and unclear. Hindi ba clear yung pagkakasabi ng question? Marami yatang sumagot ng C. Konti yung D. May sumagot ng B. Take note multiple choice po ito, pero niremove ko lang po yung mga choices niya. And, take note nyo po ito, tingnan nyo po. Tingnan nyo po yung A. Two perpendicular lines intersect to form A. If you, di ba, sa yung ating English grammar, sa ating English language, kapag meron kang A, ano po yung inaasahan yung word na kasunod nun? it gives you the hint, no? That, okay. Dahil may para maging grammatically correct, iisipin ng bata na, dapat the next word or the word following should start with a consonant sound. That's why, kung meron kang mga choices dyan, no, na starts with a vowel sound or a consonant sound, they will eliminate those choices that start with vowels. Kasi nga vowel tumawid na kamamatay. Char lang din. That's why it gives hints. That's why as much as possible, if we really wanted to encourage higher level thinking, we avoid grammar hints, no? Because in this case, grammar gives hints to the correct answers. That sometimes, dahil kahit di nila alam, pero dahil magaling sila sa English grammar, nakukuha nila yung tamang sagot. Pero mga best, dapat wag pong ganon. No? Okay. Kung puro consonants po yung choices mo, okay lang na mag-a ka. Okay lang na mag-a. Pero kapag may mga vowel at saka consonants, nako, better suggest nga may a/an. Yun po yung ginagawa ng iba. Yung a/an. Para at least, no, may chance na pwede palang starting with a vowel sound or a consonant sound, yung tamang sagot. Okay po. 174. Multiple choice type of item should emphasize higher level thinking. What could this mean in the context of assessment? Saan po kaya dito yung sagot ninyo? Yes, tama po, panggulo ang slash. A/an. Kasi at least, no, may idea ang learner na yung sagot, pwedeng mag-start ng vowel o ng consonant. Okay, sounds. Letter A nga ba? It means that students should make use of deeper thinking rather than simple recall. Yan ba ang sagot ninyo? If yan po yung sagot ninyo, I'm sorry to say, char lang. Tama po kayo. So that's why, no? If we wanted to emphasize higher order thinking, it means that students should make use of deeper thinking rather than simple recall. So if we wanted to emphasize deeper thinking, let us not give knowledge questions only. Let's ask questions that emphasize the how, the why, something like that. Or would encourage them to apply, create, or let's say, or evaluate. Okay, letter A po. Tama po. 175. Within one matching test item, teachers should use a common approach, such as all terms and definitions or all principles and the scenarios to which they apply. It is important that the matching type item has A, effective distractors, B, parallel content, C, plausible answers, or D, unequal responses. Saan po kaya dito? Okay, may sumagot ng A, may sumagot ng B. A or B? So far, marami sa inyo ang sumagot ng letrang B, I think. No? Okay. Be careful po ha. Take note po. Basahin po ninyong mabuti. Sabi niya dito, use a common approach such as all terms and definitions or all principles. Ibig sabihin po, ibig sabihin nito, kung terms lang, dapat terms lang lahat yung nasa choices. Kung numbers ang pagpipilian, dapat numbers lang po lahat. Kung if you are talking about people, dapat yung lahat ng choices sa matching type, dapat tao din. Hindi pwede ng choices mo may tao, may hayop, may number, may animal, hindi po pwede yon. Because if that's the case, kapag siya na lang yung taong natira at saka tao yung hinahanap, so siya na yung sagot, di ba? That's why, in this case, it's actually parallel content. Letter B. Kung tao, tao lang lahat. Kung hayop, hayop lang lahat. Kung mga X ni Jose Rizal, dapat mga X lang ni Jose Rizal lahat. Okay? Hindi kung as maaari, hanggat maaari, let us not combine tao, hayop, pangyayari sa isang matching type na item, sa isang set ng matching type items. Kasi magkahalo-halo. Kapag wala ng hayop, siya na yung hayop ng natitira sa mundo, so siya na yung sagot sa lungkot mo. Char lang, biro lang po. Biro lang po. Okay, I hope that you get what you mean po. Ma'am MJ, may point po kayo dyan. Okay. Once event, I hope na nakuha po ninyo ha. When we say effective disruptors naman po, dapat yung disruptors are are incorrect choices, no? So, in this case, hindi po ito yung hinahanap. 176. The following are advantages of essay tests in mathematics, education. Which of the following is not? Is it A, allow for deep learning and connections? B, allow students to draw on research and reasoning to provide justification and show integration? C, they give opportunity to assess a student's writing ability. Or D, it is difficult to prepare than other items or assessment types. Saan dito yung hindi advantage? It is letter tama po. In fact, A, B, and C are advantages of essays. In fact, D is not really an advantage. In fact, hindi naman sa lahat ng pagkakataon, but usually, no, essay tests are easier to construct than multiple choice, no? Kasi in this case, but as long as, it's not always true, as long as usually, no, yung mahirap lang kasi sa essay is yung mag-check. I'm so proud of you, Sir Jerome. Sana all. Okay, so letter D po. 177. A grade 7 learner cannot understand the abstract concept of addition of integers. This implies that the teacher has to go back to what stage of cognitive representation? Will you go for inactive, iconic, symbolic, or A, B, and C are correct? So saan po dito? Kapag hindi niya maintindihan yung concept ng addition ng integers, ano ba dapat yung unang-una mong gagawin? Enactive, iconic, or symbolic? Kapag sinabi po nating symbolic, halimbawa, 5 plus negative 3, symbolic yon. Kapag hindi niya maintindihan yung 5 plus negative 3, anong gagawin mo? C here is incorrect. Sorry. Will you go for enactive or iconic? Kapag sinabi po nating enactive, it is the stage wherein the teacher makes use of concrete objects such as manipulatives. Like halimbawa, gagamit ka ng chips, no? So that the learner could manipulate. Okay, ganito pala gawin yung manipulation ng addition of integers. Yung iconic naman po, gumagamit ka na ng pictures. So sa inyong case, will you let the learner use the inactive or iconic? Saan sila mas makaka-understand better? Sa manipulatives o sa pictures? Saan po? It would be yung iconic ay mas malapit siya sa abstraction. But again, we wanted something more concrete, di ba? Para mas maintindihan nila. That's why the best answer here is letter A, enactive. It's concrete. It makes use of manipulatives. It uses manipulatives. Iconic naman po is pictorial or you are using pictures or images. And studies have shown that most of the time, enactive is better, helps someone to understand better than enactive is better than iconic and symbolic, especially if yung bata is nasa learning stage pa lang. Hinulaan ng beshi mo. So the correct answer is letter A. Grabe siya. Jowa mo manipulative. May point ka dyan. Char lang po. Biro lang po. 178. What do you call a measure of an item's ability to put into distinction between those who scored high on the total test and those who scored low? Okay. Is it item analysis, difficulty analysis, discrimination analysis, or plausibility analysis? Prof Ed po tayo. Okay, marami pong sumagot ng letter C, which is discrimination analysis. And if you answer that, when we say difficulty analysis, no, this type of analysis is used to determine if an item is easy or difficult. Okay? That is, if the difficulty index is close to 1, the easier the item becomes. The closer it is to 0, the more difficult an item becomes. The correct answer here is discrimination analysis. Like, how does an item fare, or how does an item separate those who scored really high or to those who scored low, no? Or how can the item distinguish high from low performing students? And plausibility analysis could be used to analyze distractors of multiple choice items. Letter C po, yung tamang sagot. Distinction. Okay. Yes po. I hope na nakuha po natin mga kaguro. Discrimination analysis po. 179. In performing item analysis, it is important, di ba, hinahati natin sa dalawang grupo ang yung, meron tayong upper group at meron tayong lower group. In performing item analysis, it is important that the number of people in the upper group is blank. The number of people in the lower group. Is it A equal to, B less than, C greater than, or D unequal? Ano po ba dapat? Greater than, sabi ng classmates nyo. May nagsabi naman ng letter A. Okay. Take note po ha, number of people sa upper group, number of people sa lower group. Dapat mas marami ba yung sa upper group kaysa sa lower group? Less than or equal? And, okay. Iba-iba po yata yung sagot natin. Take note po mga kaguro. Na-try niyo pong gawin ito? Yung item analysis po? So, take note po ha. Kapag nag-item analysis po tayo, meron tayong upper at saka lower group, dapat po pantay ang bilang ng number of people sa upper group sa lower group. Halimbawa, if the upper group has 10 people, the lower group should have 10 people also. It's very important po. Okay? Ang sinasabi ko po dito is bilang ng tao bawat group. So dapat pantay po sila. Ay, okay. Yung iba po sa inyo, hindi po nakapag-item analysis. Ay, okay. Sige po, sige lang. Push lang po natin to. Sige. So, meron po kasi procedures yan, no? Meron siyang formula. So, for your item analysis, you could do your, sabi ko kanina, yung ano nga yun? Yung difficulty index, no? Hahanapin mo yung difficulty index ng isang item, yung kanyang discrimination index, at saka yung plausibility of distractors, no? If you have a multiple choice item. Akala ko sir, padamihan ng friends. Ay, grabe siya. Pantay po. Dapat equal po yung number sa itaas at saka sa ibaba. 180. There are more people in the lower group than the upper group who got the multiple choice item set number 7 right. This implies that the item has blank discrimination. A, positive, B, negative, C, 0, or D, undefined. Negative nga ba? Positive? Let's see. Okay. Lot and friends. Okay, letter B. Sa mga nagsumagot, letter B po yung sagot ninyo. If we have, ito po, I will discuss it now. If you have a positive discrimination index, it actually means that more people from the upper group got the item right than those in the lower group. Take note, when we say upper group and lower group, depende po sa inyong reference, no? Yung sa iba po kasi, when we say upper group, it is the upper thirds, upper 1/3, or sa ibang studies, or sa ibang upper 50%. Tsaka ang yung lower group po, yung lower 50%. So yung top 50% ng scores, upper group po sila. Yung bottom 50% ng scores, yung bottom 50%, no? Yung mga lower scores, lower group po. So if more people from the upper group got the item right than the lower group, positive po yan. You have a negative discrimination index if the number of people in the upper group who got the item right is lower than the number of people who got the item right in the lower group. Which, that's why the correct answer here is letter B. Dahil mas maraming sa lower group ang nakakuha ng tamang sagot kaysa sa upper group. So negative po yan. We have a zero discrimination index if the number of people who got the item right in the upper group and lower groups are equal. So letter B ang tamang sagot. Very good. Okay, good job. 180. I hope you got it po, no? Take note po, ano pong implication if marami sa upper group, marami yung sa lower group ang nakakuha ng items than the upper group. It could have some implications. So maybe check your answer key, baka mali yung answer key mo. It could also mean that the item might be invalid or it could be unreliable din po, no? So check nyo po. Unreliable, yes. Thank you po, Ma'am Priya. Okay po. 181. The population has 1,000 members. Mr. Cruz got a sample of 300 and noted their mean height in centimeters, which is 160.45. This, okay, before I proceed, okay, this mean is an example of is it A, parameter, B, statistic, C, standard error, or D, variance? Ano pong sagot ninyo sa 181? Is it a parameter, statistic, standard error, or variance? Letter A daw, parameter. Sabi ni Ma'am Nurse, ni Sir Richard, ni Ma'am Jessica, ni Ma'am Jeline. Okay. Okay, yung tanong ko po, yung mean height na to na 160.45, ito ba ay mean height ng population or mean height ng sample based on this? Ito ay mean height ng sample or ng population? Okay, ito po ay mean height ng sample. Kasi yung iba po sa atin siguro nako-confuse, huwag po nating isipin yung C at saka D. Pili lang po tayo, parameter or statistic lang. Tandaan po natin, when we say parameter, it is a value computed from a population. And when we speak about statistic, without S sa dulo po it's actually a value computed from a sample. Halimbawa, if you computed the mean or the average from a population, then the mean is actually parameter. Pero kapag kinumpute mo naman po yung mean ng sample, ang mean na yon ay halimbawa ng tinatawag nating statistic. Para hindi po kayo mawala, they begin with the same letter. PP, population parameter. SS, sample statistic. Since that mean height of 160.45 cm was computed from a sample, then therefore, that mean is an example of what we call statistic. Letter B. All right. I hope you got it po. Right. Mr. Alon is planning to determine the attitude towards mathematics of all the students in his school. He is planning to conduct A, census, B, parameter, C, statistic, or D, survey. Okay, survey daw. Okay, sabi niya lahat, all students in his school. Survey. Let's see if survey is correct. Take note po natin. In a census, data about all individual units, example, people or households, are actually collected in the population. If you are conducting a census, it is understood that you will gather data from a population. In a survey, data are only collected for a subpart of a population, which is a sample. So kapag lahat po, if you intend to gather data from all the members of the population, it's better to use the term census. Pero kapag sample lang po yung kukunan mo ng data, it's better to use the term survey. That's why, to those who answered D, I'm so sorry, the correct answer is letter A, census. Laban lang po mga kaguro. Yes, push po. 183. Dr. Enka is interested to find out the mathematical aptitude of a randomly selected set of students. What research design will he use to achieve such purpose? Causal comparative, correlational, descriptive, or experimental? Okay, letter C daw, descriptive. Sabi ni ng classmates ninyo. Letter C, okay. Let's see. When we say causal comparative research, no? Causal comparative research is a family of research designs used to examine potential causes for observed differences found among existing groups. Kapag sinabi po natin correlational, this type of design is a non-experimental research method that examines the relationship between two or more variables. Halimbawa, if you wish to determine if there's a relationship between height and weight, you can use correlational research design. Descriptive or survey design aims to accurately and systematically describe a population, situation, or phenomenon. It can answer what, where, when, and how questions, but not the why questions. And letter D, experimental types of designs, utilizes the scientific approach. It establishes procedures that allow the researcher to test a hypothesis and to systematically and scientifically study causal relationships among variables. So among these definition, take note, sabi sa problem, the best answer is what? Letter C actually. Descriptive or survey research. I hope you got it po. $184. Para maiba daw. Okay, 184. Validity is important in research. This type of validity is satisfied when what is assessed is in relation to what was discussed or learned. Is it construct validity, phase validity, content validity, or criterion validity? Content daw? Okay. I'm so happy that many of you answered letter C. Why? Because C is the correct answer. When we say construct validity, no, you are actually measuring appropriate domains. Halimbawa, are you trying to measure attitude? If you are trying to measure attitude, then of course, no, your instrument should also measure attitude. Face validity, it's about the face value. So you could ask yourself, are the items arranged from easy to difficult? Like the types of tests, are they well arranged within the test? Or is the spacing okay? Are the words, is the format pleasing to the eye? Face value, parang minsan pa pogi, no? Pogi ba o maganda yung exam ko tignan? That could be face value. Like me, walay. When we say content validity, a certain examination or assessment includes if a certain test has content validity or possesses content validity, then this test includes actual lessons that was discussed. So it covers the topics that was mentioned or discussed, no? So gaya nga lang sinabi ko kanina, kapag sabi ng teacher mo, chapters 1 to 3 yung study chapters 1 to 3, at kung lumabas ay chapters 1 to 3 nga, then that type of assessment possesses content validity. Letter D, criterion validity, evaluates how well a test can predict a concrete outcome or how well the results of your test approximate the results of another test. Halimbawa, kapag kumuha siya ng isang test about mathematical ability, mataas siya dito. At saka sa isang test, mataas din siya, most likely may criterion related evidence of validity ka. Okay, so the correct answer here is letter C. content. All right. Proceed po tayo sa 185 kung wala pong tanong. But again, if you have questions or clarifications, feel free to chat po. To save papers, Miss Anib was advised to compress 5 pages of test into 2 pages only. Nangyayari po ito sa totoong buhay. Minsan, no, kapag nagtitipid yung school, sabihin ng school, walang pera yung school. Pasensya ka na ha, please edit mo yung test mo, wala kang magagawa. Pakasyahin mo sa 2 page yung exam mo. Making the words smaller and the entire test less readable. What kind of validity is violated here? Is it A, construct, B, phase, C, content, D, criteria? All right, many of you answered B. And if you answered B, I'm very proud of you because you got it correctly. Good job po. It's all about phase, no? Kasi minsan, kapag sumiksik siya, minsan lumiliit yung font, yung spacing hindi masyadong maganda, at saka hindi siya magandang basahin. So, phase validity is violated here. Let's proceed to 186. A teacher gave a pre-test about operations in integers. After a month of instruction, he gave the same test as post-test. He noted the mean scores in the post-test is higher than the pre-test. However, no significant difference was found. What could this mean? Is it A, the instruction was not effective? B, the instruction is effective? C, students learned something significant? Or D, the students understood the lesson well? Okay. Okay, marami pong sumagot ng C. Pero may iilan ding sumagot ng A. So, effective nga ba yung instruction? Hindi ba effective yung instruction? Hula ang beshi mo. Take note po ha, mataas po yung post-test kasi sa pre-test. Halimbawa, yung pre-test niya 10, tapos naging 11. Yung pre-test niya 5, naging 6. Parang ganun po ha, di ko po alam. And pag-run niya ng inferential statistics, no significant difference was found. No significant difference. And in statistics, if there is no significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores, meaning to say, kung hindi significant yung difference, statistics is actually suggesting na yung means ng post-test at saka pre-test are what? Are somehow similar to one another or statistically equal, di po ba? At kung statistically equal po yung pre-test at saka post-test results, may significant improvement po ba sa scores ng mga bata o walang significant improvement? Meron o wala? Wala. Akala mo meron pero wala. Because hindi po significant yung difference. That's why we could say that the instruction could be thought of more or less as not effective, statistically speaking, because it was not able to increase significantly the results ng mga bata. So kahit medyo tumaas, pero hindi naman pala significant yung itinaas, meaning to say, parang hindi siya effective. Parang ex si Sir Francisco, no? Yung ex niya walang significance. Ay, grabe siya. So ito po, hindi po siya effective. Pero kung tumaas po yung mean at saka na-found out nyo po na may significant difference, so probably we could say na effective po siya most likely. Okay po. I hope that you understood. 187. If truly valid, aptitude tests possess blank validity. Is it predictive, construct, content, or concurrent? Okay. Construct. Letter A, predictive. Okay. Examples po, no, 'di ba? Nung pumunta tayo sa college, sa amin kasing school, no, sa university namin, meron kaming tinatawag na TAT or Teacher Aptitude Test. And take note po ha, Teacher aptitude tests are designed to what? To measure, or they should have what kind of validity? They should have what we call predictive validity. Meaning to say, if you got a higher score, for example, no, dito, kapag mataas yung score mo sa aptitude test, this is actually telling the school or the university na, okay, malawak yung, siguro may knowledge talaga siya about teaching. No? So, okay, more or less, okay, admit ko to, parang ganon. Pero kapag hindi ka pasado sa aptitude, meaning to say, parang wala ka pang masyadong malalamang significant, or let's say wala kang masyadong maraming idea about it, no? So aptitude test actually has more of what we call predictive validity. Meaning to say, later on, kapag na-admit ka at may predictive validity din yung assessment, then it is actually, no, the school hopes or they could predict na makakaya mong makapag-aral sa university na yan. So predictive validity po. Letter A. Nakatumpak. Good job po. 188. Dr. Kim would like to use a measure of central tendency to describe the weekly allowance of his students. He noted, however, that there are many significant outliers in the data. What measures should he compute? Should we go for mean, median, mode, or range? Kapag merong outlier, what if there, when we say outlier, these are extreme scores. It's either extremely high or extremely low scores, di po ba? And tandaan po natin ito mga kaguro ha, kapag marami pong outliers, then the mean is not the most stable or the best measure of central tendency to use. And we should use the next one, which is the median. Because the median po is not affected by outliers. It's not affected by your extreme scores. Letter B. Actually, your median and mode are not affected by extreme scores. However, but based on the given, since there are outliers, it's better to use the next better option than the mean, which is the median. So sa lahat po ng sumagot ng median, tama po kayo. 189. Which of the following terms relate to the consistency of the scores obtained? Did you go for validity, reliability, plausibility, or discriminatory? All right, so this time I could see, no, I was able to explain this one earlier. To everyone who answered B, you are actually correct. So validity refers to if a test measures what it intends to measure, it is valid. But when we speak about consistency, or about the spread of the scores, we're talking more about reliability or variability, no? So letter C po, plausibility, and D are not. Letter B is the correct answer. Let's proceed to 190. Mrs. Camariosa would like to determine the variability of her learners' scores in a quiz. However, she knew only the highest and the lowest score. What is the best thing to compute? A, mean deviation. B, range. C, standard deviation. Or D, variance. All right. Let me read some of your responses. To everyone who commented B, for 190, your answer is B. And if you answered B, be happy because you got it right. Take note. To compute for the range, we need only two data. Or we need only two information, the highest score and the lowest score. In computing for the mean deviation, the standard deviation, and the variance, it is important that you know all the data because you will use them in your computation. Pero kapag dalawa lang yung alam mo, yung highest at saka lowest, range lang po yung applicable. Letter B. 191. Okay. Be happy sa kanya. Sir Jerome, push mo yan. 191. To check for consistency, Teacher Anna administered the same test after 2 months and compared the scores. What method of establishing consistency did she do? Is it what we call A, test retest, B, parallel forms, C, split half, or D, KR20? Wow, convinced. Marami po sa atin no, are very confident about letter A. If you answered A po, you are actually correct. Test-retest method involves administering the same test twice to the same group after a certain time interval has elapsed. Depende po sa literature, some are suggesting at least 1 month, some are suggesting at least 2 months, no, to establish the reliability of your instrument, of your test. Yung parallel forms naman po, these are two different but equivalent forms of an instrument that are administered to the same group of individuals during the same period of time. Yun po yung tinatawag nating set A, set B. Halimbawa, yung isang group, set A yung aansweran nila. Yung isang group, set B po yung kanilang sasagutan. And the items in set A are parallel to the items in set B. It's just that the given are different, or let's say, iba yung numbers, but they measure the same competencies. That's what you call parallel forms. Yung split half naman po involves scoring two halves, usually odd items versus even items of a test separately for each person and then calculating a correlation coefficient for the two sets of scores. And yung KR20 naman po is a measure of internal consistency for examinations with dichotomous choices. Meaning, kung tama ka, bibigyan ka ng score of 1. Kung mali ka, bibigyan ka ng score of 0. And this could be used for multiple choice items or objective types of tests, no? Some objective types of tests. It produces a correlation measure between 0, where a high KR20 coefficient, for example, greater than 0.90, is indicative of a homogeneous test. So, the correct answer po is letter A, which is test-retest method. Grabe siya. Grabe ka. 192. Which of the following could be used to establish consistency if it was established that all multiple choice items have equal difficulty? Is it A, KR20, B, KR21, C, both A and B, or D, neither A nor B? KR20 daw. KR21. Parang hindi po yata tayo magkasundo ngayon. 20 nga ba or 21? We will choose only between A and B. We will not choose C or D. Okay? Now, let me explain to you kung kailan siya pwedeng gamitin. Okay? So, based upon literature review, the KR or the Kuder-Richardson approach, perhaps the most frequently employed method for determining internal consistency is the Kuder-Richardson approach, particularly formulas KR20 and KR21. Yung KR20 po is used for items with varying difficulty, meaning some items are found to be easy and some items are found to be difficult. It should only be used if there is one correct answer for each question, and it's used when dealing with dichotomous data. Halimbawa, 1, kung nakuha niya kung tama siya, bigyan mo siya ng score of 1. Kung mali siya, bigyan mo siya ng score of 0 for that item. It could be used for multiple choice, short answer, fill in the blank types of questions. Yung KR21 naman po, similar din naman siya. It can be used for dichotomous data, can be used only if it can be assumed that the items are of equal difficulty. That's why, sabi dito equal difficulty eh. So we will go with letter B, KR21. Tapos sabi na yung A, so B na lang daw. Okay. So letter B po, KR21. Pero kung unequal difficulty po, better go with KR20. May KR22. Wala pa akong narinig na ganun so far, pero we'll check that out. 193. Which of the following technologies or tools is the most useful in doing statistical analysis? Okay, saan po dito? SPSS, WPS, CPU, or RA or RAM? Okay. I hope familiar po ba kayo dito? SPSS stands for Statistical package for the social sciences. Tama, yung SSS, Social Security System po yan, Ma'am Luella. Grabe siya. Okay, yung GSIS, doon po ako graduate dati sa GSIS. I graduated from that school, no, GSIS. General Santos Elementary School. Joke lang po, walay. Okay. CPU is Central Processing Unit. RAM is Random Access Memory. Okay. Actually, the correct answer here is SPSS, letter A, or the Statistical Package for the Social Sciences. Also known as IBM SPSS Statistics, it is a software package used for the analysis of statistical data. Although the name of SPSS reflects its original use in the field of social sciences, its use has since expanded into other data markets. Letter A po. WPS, Word Offices Apps. Okay, thank you po, Ma'am Lucelle, for that one. Okay. 194. You ran one sample test and got the following table like this. Should you reject the null hypothesis or HO? A, yes. B, no. C, maybe. Or D, cannot be determined. I-reject mo ba yung null mo? Usually po, assume po natin in this case na yung alpha po natin, I forgot to state this, but usually, if it's not, the most common alpha that's used in research is 0.05. I'm sorry for not stating it here, but for now, let's assume that our alpha is 0.05 po. Sorry for that. Walang alpha, kaya grabe siya. May point po kayo doon, Sir Richard. Sige. Para everybody happy na lang po, hindi ko po kasi na-state yung alpha eh. No? So sige, bonus na lang po ito. Pero ito, halimbawa, suppose yung alpha natin ay 0.05. Tandaan po natin ha, ito po, if the p-value is less than our alpha, you have to reject the null hypothesis and you have to report the alternative hypothesis. However, if the value of your p-value is greater than alpha, please do not reject the null hypothesis at dahil hindi mo naman siya ni-reject, so you have to report and interpret the null hypothesis. Take note, you will report the alternative hypothesis if the p-value is less than alpha, but if the p-value is greater than alpha, you have to report the null hypothesis. Yun nga lang, wala kang makikitang p-value na word sa SPSS. Pero the p-value in SPSS is actually appears as sig or sometimes sig two-tailed. So ito po yung p-value natin na 0.000. Is this value less than or greater than alpha? Ang 0.000, less than ba ito or greater than 0.05? Less than, di po ba? So dahil less than siya sa 0.05, should you reject the null hypothesis or not? Very good. Dahil 0.000 is less than 0.05, we will reject the null hypothesis and we have to, so in this case, yes, we have to reject HO, letter A. Pero for 194 po, dahil hindi ko po na-state yung alpha which is 0.05, so sige, bonus na lang po ito sa ating lahat. Okay. Okay? 5. In Dr. Jaime's math class, he dropped a small pebble inside the beaker with some water and noted the change in volume. What do you call this method of determining volume of irregular objects? Is it A, top-down method, B, drop-down method, C, water displacement method, or D, liquidization method? Okay, sa science po natin. Okay, science. Water, letter C. Okay. So, yes, it's actually letter C, or what we call the water displacement method, no? So usually sa ginagawa po natin ito, no, sa ating mga science classes, especially if we wish to determine the volume of some irregularly shaped solids. So halimbawa po, kapag ito po yung volume ng water, naglagay ka po ng object dyan, at saka assuming po ha na hindi po, wala pong tubig na lumabas mula sa beaker, wala pong nag-overflow na tubig, isubtract nyo po yung final, note mo to yung volume nito. Tapos, kung ilan yung difference ng volumes nila, yan yung volume ng object na nilagay mo sa loob ng beaker. That's what we call water displacement method. Yes, it's similar po to that of Archimedes, I believe, no? Yung sa kay Archimedes naman, it's all about the buoyancy, no? Related siya sa buoyancy din. But I think they are related din po as well. Salamat po. 196. The teacher arrived to the regression equation, which is y equals 3.53x minus 4. What does this mean? Is it A, for every unit increase in x, there is a corresponding increase of 3.53 in y? B, for every unit increase in y, there is a corresponding increase of 3.53 in x? C, for every unit increase in x, there is a corresponding increase of 4 in y? Or D, for every unit increase in x, there is a corresponding decrease of 4 in y? Okay. Will you go for A, B, C, or D? Take note po, this is an example of a regression equation. And this is a simple linear regression, which is just a simple linear equation expressed in slope-intercept form. So yung tanong po dito is, how do you explain, or ano po bang ibig sabihin nito? Okay? Take note, ano po yung slope natin dito? Sa y equals 3.53x minus 4, ano pong slope ng line? Okay, sabi ni ni Ma'am Luella and the rest, no? The slope is 3.53, right? So, therefore, our answer should have 3.53. It's either but take note po, di ba? Yung slope po natin ay 3.53, and kahit po sa ating systems of sa ating linear equations, no? The increase in y is actually dependent on your slope. Therefore, since 3.53 yung slope natin, C and D should not be considered. So it's either we choose A or we choose B. But be very careful. Our slope here is positive. And it means that since slope is positive 3.53, then the correct or the best answer is letter A. That is, sa bawat increase, for every unit increase in x, meaning if your x increases by 1, then you can check, no, that your y value will increase by 3.53. That is how we interpret slope po, ha. Be careful. That is how we interpret the slope of the line. Nasabi niya lahat ng choices. Tapos tumbling. Eh, grabe siya. So take note po, ha. The increase or decrease, if the slope, if we're talking about a linear equation, no, like this, in only with only one independent variable and one dependent variable, if the slope is positive, then there's an increase. But if the slope is negative, then there's a decrease. Okay. 197. Which of the following could be used as an aid to determine the area of a quadrilateral? Will you go for GeoGebra? B, geoboard. B, GeoGebra. C, Cartesian plane. Or D, A, B, and C are correct. Lahat ba sila pwedeng gamitin upang malaman Grabe na sabi niya lahat ng choices. Okay. And if you go for D, you are actually correct. So all of these technologies are actually very helpful no upang makuha natin yung area ng quadrilateral. If you wish, no, yung ginagawa ko dati kapag di ko alam, minsan I plot them in the Cartesian plane. Sometimes, if you have rubber bands, pwedeng mong gamitin yung GeoGebra, no? Minsan yung GeoBoard, I mean. At saka yung GeoGebra is also very good, no, in visualizing. So D is the best answer here. 198. Which of the following could be used to play .mp4 files? A. VLC Media Player. B. Zoom. C. Microsoft Word. Or D. GeoGebra. Okay. Okay. Very good. The correct answer is Zoom. Char lang po. Zoom ba? Okay. Hindi po siya Zoom. Sorry. It's actually your VLC Media Player. So usually, no, that MP4 files are video files containing both audio and video. And VLC Media Player could be used, no? To play these types of files. Kung hindi nyo nakuha ang A, ewan ko sa inyo. Biro lang po. Okay. 199. Kinabahan sa Zoom. The following are examples of learning management systems except A. Moodle, B. Instructure, C. Docebo, or D. Google Meet. Okay, Google Meet daw. Okay. Learning management systems are very helpful because they help the teacher and the students organize their work as in the giving of the assignments. And is Moodle an LMS? And the answer is yes. Instructure, yes, no, with the use of Canvas. I hope you are familiar, no, with Canvas. It's very good as well. It's being used by some universities. Docebo is also one of them. Google Meet, however, is not. And usually the Google Meet is only used for video streaming, no? Or I mean, like for calling, no? Or for video, for some synchronous classes, synchronous online classes, Google Meet. And we have one more. So letter D po. In demand during pandemic po ang LMS? Yes po. LMS is very in demand. Even now, no? Na kahit hindi na siya masyadong kasagsagan ng pandemic siguro, ginagamit pa rin po yung mga LMS. Let me say something. Char lang. 1 and 200, the final item for tonight. Which of the following is a cloud-based storage service that enables users to store and access files online? A. Google Drive. B. Google Classroom. C. Google Docs. Or D. Google Slides. Okay, so kailangan mong mag-store ng mga files and Drive nga ba o Classroom? Okay, letter Q. Ay, hindi, letter A daw. If you answered A, you are actually correct. The Google Classroom is usually used to organize the files, the assignments, and everything. Google Docs, it's like similar to Microsoft Word. It's the Google Slides, it's similar to like PowerPoint, no? Store na mga pictures niya. Grabe siya. A, sure na sure, pa sa jowa mo. Okay, nakakasakit na kayo ng damdamin. Biro lang po. Okay? And with that, that ends our session for tonight. Thank you very much and a great day to one and all.